questions are the only way we can identify the remedy to fix things and the next step forward. And so the second critical phase is, where do I want to be? And this is what you're talking about, like asking a better question. What Mark and I teach is, and it's part of what we talk about in Prepare to be a Good Asker, part of the preparation is visualization and imagination. Because God gave human beings, we're the only animal who has imagination.
Hi everyone, welcome to Go All In show here on ABC 15. My name is Stant, I'm your host, and today I have my two special guests here with me, and I can't wait to just have the conversation with them. Well, welcome Mark Victor Hansen and Crystal Dwyer Hansen into the house. Thank you so much, guys.
Thank you, Nim. We're so happy to be here with you today.
Delighted to be with you and all your fans.
Thank you so much. You know, I came from the third world country of Thailand and moved here to Arizona. Didn't have no money, no connection, no education for how to have the TV show. And this is the first year of this TV show, and I am super excited and honored to have you guys here for our show.
Well, first of all, not only do we love Thailand, but one of our daughters even went there. Yeah. I've been there 3 times. The first time in 1968, before you were ever even conceived, I'm sure. So I've been in love with the Siamese people forever.
Yeah.
They're gentle, they're loving, they're wonderful. And also we've had tailor-made clothes made there. So I got to tell you, in Phuket and place like that, the tailoring is 24 hours. Can't get that in America.
Yes. Yes.
Right. Our daughter spent over a month living in the villages in Thailand after high school, and she loved it.
Awesome.
We believe everybody should go to LDC's, less developed countries, and grow and expand. And I've been doing that since I was a kid, and so is Crystal, and now our kids are doing it, and it touches our heart. So we're elated to be with you today.
Wow, thank you so much. And I'm super fan with you guys too. I got your book. I listened to the audio book. So I listened to the audio book and I study it in the same time to make it easier for me, because when I first came here, I could not speak English either. So this is very awesome.
You're doing great. You're really amazing. That's wonderful.
Well, we're proud of you. My parents were Danish immigrants, so I understand the language difficulties. So, we were put down as alliteratively, it was called dumb Danes. I can promise you, based on my being the world's best-selling author, that my parents were not dumb.
I love it. So a lot of people ask me lately, like, Nim, how did you get to interview like great leaders and teachers, in this world? And the first thing I said, I just asked them.
Right. It's such a simple thing, but it's like the thing that people are so afraid of, and they avoid it at all costs. And Mark and I realized that that's why we wrote the book, because we realized in looking at our own lives, every problem, every difficulty, every crisis, everything we wanted all came about by asking the right question at the right time in the right way. And
to the right person.
Right. It's so important to understand that in your life, and you obviously get it.
But I think something that must happen before you ask, to faith and believe in yourself, that it's going to be okay even though you fail. Can you share with us a little bit about your book, Ask? How can we ask? I'm just going to ask the simplest question, the direct question. Wait a minute, how can we ask? What should we ask?
Right, exactly. Well, you talked about, something has to happen before you ask. And we have a section in the book called How to Prepare to be a Good Asker. And the first point of preparation is belief. You have to believe that your answer is out there waiting for you somewhere. Belief is a very important part of it. And you also have to believe that you deserve the answer. You deserve the request that you are asking for, right? In scripture, it says, ask and you will receive, seek and you will find, knock and the door will be opened. Well, that's up to us to start that process. We have to ask, we have to seek, we have to find, and we have to believe that it will all be there for us.
Mm. Crystal, you said something that very, very cool. I love you so much, by the way. Thank you so much. You said before you ask, you got to believe that there's answer somewhere out there. Like, can you expand that a little bit more? I just love that.
Yes, yes. Well, faith is really optimism. It's optimism in this beautiful, in yourself. It's optimism in this beautiful world that we live in. It's optimism about the promises of God. But if you think about it, you can't live this life. You couldn't function in this life without some faith, without some belief. I mean, every time you walk out the door, Nim, get in your 2-ton car and go barreling down the road, you know, against a bunch of other 2-ton cars, you have to believe, have some level of belief that it's all okay and everyone's going to be okay. So this life requires belief. It requires faith. It requires belief in all those good things. And I think that's why faith is written so much about so much in scripture and in wisdom traditions. You know, you have to have that belief and faith. And, you know, sometimes people go, well, how do I have belief? And, you know, it's really, I think, a matter of deciding. You get to decide what's going on in your mind. You are the only person who controls your mind. It was given to you. And so you have to make that decision. I am going to believe that every answer is waiting for me, that I deserve these answers, and that life is conspiring. God's perfect universe is conspiring to help me express and achieve every great thing I could possibly express and achieve in this life.
So good. Thank you for expanding that. But so Mark, how do you ask Crystal to marry you? Like, I mean, I want to hear the story now. Question to you, Mark, like, because you used the technique before you even write this book, right? So how do you ask Crystal?
Well, first of all, let me go backwards a few paragraphs and say that I went through a long ago, a painful and expensive divorce. And so what I did is I asked myself, what would my ideal other person look like, be like, and what would her qualities, values, virtues, characteristics be? I wrote down literally 267 things I needed. We had to have the same values. We both had a love to travel. If we had kids, which would be probable because we're a little further along in the path, our kids had to get along. We had to really want to make a difference. She could not be an alcoholic, a smoker, a drug user, all kinds of silly stuff. But most people go, all I want is I want him to be tall, dark, and handsome, or I want her to be a hot babe. Pretty superficial if you think about it, not deep enough. So when we met, I was doing a seminar called Author 101 or Mother Center to this seminar. She's sitting there and she has this heroic glow in my eyes. I mean, if you ask questions, you're going to get illuminations from on high. And I had the illumination. She was the one. I asked somebody, is she married or single? Because I'm not going to take out any married women. And said, yeah, she's single. So fortuitously, the seminar goes well. She's in the VIP room. I'm in the VIP room. I've got a throng of people around me asking me every kind of question about authoring because I sell more books than anybody and written 318 bestsellers, or books. Not all of them are bestsellers, I guess. But she's across the room and she wasn't drinking. She wasn't doing anything, but she was there talking to the agents and everybody to get an advance. And this lady, we later met her from El Salvador, hits a glass of red wine and wipes it out on her white pants.
Oh my.
I immediately broke the throngs of people, ran over, grabbed her hand and said, I know where the club soda is.
He did. He was my knight in shining armor.
I'd been to this hotel working. Yeah. It was and so she says, well, let me go up and change clothes. And she calls her mom and says, Mom, you sent me this and you won't believe it. I'm going out to dinner with Mark Victor Hansen. What did Mom say?
My mom goes, oh, I knew it. And I was like, really, Mom? You knew it? But my mom is amazing. My mom had 9 children. I'm one of 9 children. She is so intuitive. And she knew she had to get me to that. I was actually like, oh, no, it's going to be sold out. I can't go. I'm too busy. I can't, I don't have anyone to watch the kids. She's like, no, I'll watch the kids. You have to go. She really, I think, had an intuitive feeling about this. Because once Mark and I met, we just knew we were the answer to everything each of us had respectively been asking for in our hearts and our minds. On paper, Mark really defined it out exactly what And I knew too, because I would ask all the time, is that person out there for me, God, that person that I can connect with spiritually, emotionally, at the deepest level, intellectually, and really make a difference in the world. And our dream was answered in each other, really, for finding each other.
Wow.
Let me do one more fun thing if I could.
Yes.
So I say, look, are you hungry? She said, I'm hungry. I said, I can't be on this property because 1,000 people all want 2 minutes of my time and I won't get to talk to you and you won't get to talk to me. Can I take you off property? Which is an interesting way to get a first date.
Dinner.
And so we go to the top restaurant in Hollywood. We're in LA and there's like 50 people in line. They go, oh my gosh, $100 bill won't get me in. So I say, what the heck? Questions are everything. I just take her little hand and I walk her up to the gatekeeper, and the gatekeeper looks at her. And because for those listening and not seeing on TV or video or podcast, she is scrumptiously beautiful. Lucrativeness emanates out of every pore of her mind, body, soul. And the guy says, okay, I give up. Who is she? Now, remember, we're teaching in our book, Ask, the bridge from your dreams to your destiny. I knew she was my destiny, sort of intrinsically. I said, you don't recognize her? Now the guy's minds are going on steroids, going, holy cow, she's a movie star. She's got to be somebody famous.
Totally having fun.
And we're just goofing around. And he says, no, who is she? I say, you really don't recognize her? And he says, okay, I give up. Now, we're both of Danish descent, so I'm goofing around. I say, she's the Queen of Denmark. First of all, he says, no, she's not. And then he goes, oh my gosh, she is. Who are you? Now back to questions. I'm goofing still. And I say, who travels with the Queen? He says, you're the king. And that fast, we had the best table in the house. And the top chef.
He rushed away before we could tell him we were kidding. And by then we're like, oh, well, I guess we got a table.
Because you're supposed to go through life and have maximum joy. And we're just in such giddy, joyous spirits just to be with it. It just worked.
I can feel your joy. We just giggle right now. I can feel your joy. Well, Mark, next time when I go to the restaurant, I would say I'm the Queen of Thailand. Okay, you don't recognize me?
Yeah, just ask the question. You don't recognize me? You've never seen the Queen of Thailand?
And he probably hasn't, so you'll get in.
You're like, oh, I'm sorry, ma'am.
I love that. I'm a Queen of Thailand. Wow, that's fun. Okay, so back to the book. You have the section that you're talking about, Ask God. This is a lot of my viewers, my audience, they are entrepreneurs who I think this world need entrepreneur the most right now, because
Absolutely.
We are people who willing to take risk and to do whatever it takes and commit to fulfill our vision, but we need help. Right? So how entrepreneurs specifically ask God to help us for our work?
Go ahead.
So I'll start and Mark can answer too. But, I think it goes back to that knowing that we have inside. I think most people sort of have that feeling that there's something beyond us, something that we're made for that's greater than us, and if we're in touch with ourselves at all, we know that. And that is because it's true. We feel the truth of ourselves because we are, however you think of God specifically, you are part of God.
Yeah.
Right? You came from the Creator. You're part of the creation. Therefore, you're part of the Creator. And so you are so valuable and so amazing. And that's what most people don't stop and realize enough. And that you are being called all the time inside of yourself. Those are what we call those seeds of destiny in your heart. Those dreams in your heart are like the seeds of destiny. So we say in the book, ask, it's like the bridge from your dreams, which are like the dreams in your heart, to your destiny, because we were all seeded with that. We are all so much more amazing than we realize. That's what Mark and I discovered when we wrote the book, that all these people we'd meet around the world, so many people, so talented, bright, brilliant, great personalities, so much to give and share. But so many people were falling short of their potential. This woman should be running a city and this guy could be a CEO, and they're barely getting by. And we're like, what is the thing? What is that thing? If we could help people the most to understand, what is the tool we could give them? And it is really that tool of being able to ask. And it's the 3 channels that we define in the book. And those are ask yourself, ask others, and ask God. And each of those channels is equally important, starting with that reflective journey of asking yourself. That's how we determine where we are, where we want to be, and where, how to get there. And then the ask others is that bonding journey. You can't get anywhere in this life alone. We need each other. And then the ask God part is so important, because that takes our individual journey and gives us this broader context of like, what is my purpose in this universe, God? What is my personal expression in this beautiful kingdom you created? Because we each have a personal expression that we're supposed to express. And it's not just about money. Money is like the byproduct of being your greatest and top expression, And so, of course, expect the money. Ask for big money. Ask for bigger money than you ever have asked for, because there's no limited supply in God's world. It's only in our heads. And so when we learn to expand that context of asking God, we take the limits off. Really, we take all limits off.
Okay, Mark, should we feel guilty if we ask God for money? Like, help me make, help me sell more books, help me make more money for my company. Oh, should we feel, I feel a little bit uncomfortable. What would you say?
First of all, I think we got to live without guilt, because guilt is a self-defeating behavior. And we talk about the 7 roadblocks, which we'll get into in another question. But I want to continue answering your question about entrepreneur. An entrepreneur finds a problem, fixes it, scales it, meaning do a whole lot of it. Like, once I learned when I went bankrupt, and I learned how to sell a book called Stand Up, Speak Out, and Win. I sold 20,000. I made $10 each, and I was doing little audiences of 6, 10, or 12 people in the life insurance business. But I sold 20,000 copies at $10 each. That's $200,000. I got a brand new Chrysler Cordova car. I thought I was hot. A new Corinthian leather. I was having wonderful. The point is, we scale it and then make a vast amount of money, because God said, John 10:10, in the Christian thing is, I've come that you might have life and have it more abundantly. Every spiritual literature, and I'm pretty good in all the Asian literature too, says we're here for fundamental abundance, not fundamental poverty. But people have been taught economics only teaches in scarcity. When you understand that you really can do it, I wrote a whole book on this called 1 Minute Millionaire. And I said, look, there's a million ways to make $1 million. There's one right, easy, perfect, acceptable way to each one of us. Every one of us should be rich. Every one of us should go towards what the subtitle of this book is, go toward your destiny, fulfill your potential. And it's only when you're fulfilling your potential that you can feel good. It's only by asking questions. We don't know another book like this, because, Jesus said, ask and you shall receive, but he didn't detail and tell you how to do it. We're saying, look, get a copy of the book everywhere fine books are sold, or Amazon. Go over every question in the book with whoever is significant to you, your sweetiekins, your business partner, your mastermind partner, your church, temple, ashram, mosque partner. We don't care who it is, but go over every question, and you will have a transformative experience that'll make your life fulfilled and meaningful. And right now, forgive me, but suicide's going nuts. One of our dear friends hung himself, and it's tragic. And then within an hour after I got told that, a little 12-year-old girl called and says, I want to win the Girl Scout award in America, and for Golden Award, and I want so many Girl Scouts are committing suicide. Now, what will you do about it? And it hit me so hard, and Crystal, that we read her letter and said, I'll make a video for you, which I did. Yeah. We did it, but then we called the 3 top psychiatrists that we know, and every one of them have contributed. We know TV stars Daniel Amen and Fred Moss and Lou Tartaglia. Every one of them did it. And we're trying to make sure, first of all, nobody should commit suicide, because you're here for a purpose. What we're saying in Ask, the bridge from your dreams to your destiny, everyone's got dreams. And if your dreams get squashed, they get squashed. But you've still got a destiny. You've got to ask yourself, what is that destiny? When I went bankrupt, I wanted to kill myself. So I'm sensitive to this. But every one of us has a destiny that's bigger, better, more profound, more exciting, more meaningful. And what we believe is we're here to influence the influencers and be on a great show like yours. Share the message and say, hey, wait a second. We're going to do everything we can with our books, with our YouTube videos, with our seminars, to help source and serve people to their own God-given greatness.
Well, first of all, I'm very sorry to hear that, but what we all doing right now is to try to help each other get to that destiny, isn't it? Yeah. For sure.
So true. And that's that's why that middle part, the ask others part, is really important. Each one is important, but we do need to be a resource to one another. None of us is an island. And the more we open up our hearts to that, to being open to asking, and also to be a grantor of wishes, we talk about becoming a grantor of wishes in the book. I think you've probably read that, but yeah.
Wow. So let's see, the next question is how to ask God. So what is the example of empowering question? Because there's a disempowering question that we all, normal people ask, like, why me? I came from this kind of family, why me, right? How can we shift that and ask to the empowering question? Like what, right. We'll say some example.
It's such a great question. Like when Mark said, when he's like, am I going to go bankrupt? Am I going to fail? When you start asking, you're almost asking to fail. When you start asking questions, oh, am I going to get sick and die? All these things. So we need to be very careful about our language and be careful. And some people just ask small, oh, please, can I just get past this month and pay my bills? I just want to pay my bills. Why do we ask small, right? Mm-hmm. Why don't we just put our entire life and our questions in just a much bigger context? And so Mark and I say on the ask yourself part, there are actually kind of 3 critical phases to that, because it's your reflective journey, it's your creative journey. And so the first critical phase is, where am I now? So few people sit down and ask themselves, sort of take an inventory. Where am I now? What's working? What's not working? What do I like? What is standing in the way of my greatest self, my greatest expression of the things I want to do? Are there things, emotional things in my way? Are there things, in my schedule? What are those things? Because that's the only way. Questions are the only way we can identify the remedy to fix things and the next step forward. And so the second critical phase is, where do I want to be? And this is what you're talking about, like asking a better question. What Mark and I teach is, and it's part of what we talk about in Prepare to be a Good Asker, part of the preparation is visualization and imagination. Yeah. Because God gave human beings, we're the only animal who has imagination. We can literally imagine anything into existence, and every single thing you've ever seen that's beautiful and wonderful, or that's taking the world by storm, all of the technology, all of the art, every beautiful thing started in someone's imagination. And we have that same imaginal ability. And just to demonstrate how strong our imaginations are and how real things take place when we start to imagine. Just right now, if for everybody listening, just imagine that you're biting into a juicy lemon. Just sink your teeth deep into a juicy lemon right now, right? I'll bet you're salivating right this minute. Just imagining that you're biting, right? You already salivate. That's when you start to imagine something in your mind, it's no different. Your brain thinks it's real. Your subconscious mind takes it in as something real. That's how powerful your imagination is. So think about what you're imagining. Most people, when we look at our thoughts, we're imagining today to be just like yesterday. And if yesterday was a failure, we're just projecting our failures into the next day, right? And the next week and the next year. And so what we need to do, Mark and I say, is when you ask from the nth degree of your greatest imagination for yourself. So if you're asking for a partner, don't just ask for someone you can get along with. Go into that imaginal mind and into your own imagination and say, what is the most amazing love partnership I could have? What does that look like? Right. Thank you. And what are we saying to each other? All these questions, you need to define those questions. How are we responding? Are we playful? Are we adventurous? Start to imagine those things and ask the questions. How does each day feel? And imagine it from the greatest feeling, from your greatest imagination of that perfect partner. Or in business, when you what is my perfect expression or my perfect career, my perfect business scenario? And sit down with yourself and imagine that. Go to the nth degree of your outrageous success. And then from that picture of outrageous success, who am I talking to? Who are my colleagues? Who are my primary clients or customers? What products and services am I offering? And what lights people up about my products and services? You can even imagine so much that you start to define that. When you start this process, you start to figure out how to provide a better service or product, because you're finally like expanding your vision. It is so magical when you ask in that way from the nth degree of your imagination. And then of course the third phase of that is, what specific action steps do I need to take to get there? Because once you get these breakthroughs, you're going to feel them, you're going to see them. You need to write them down. When you get an idea, write it down. When you think of that person, call that person immediately. When you think you need to discuss or research something, do it right then. And so suddenly you'll look back and you'll go, wow, look what's happening to my life. People are getting this book and going, oh my gosh, I've had more progress in the last 4 months than I did in the last 4 years, because I'm finally understanding this process of asking and how it creates my greatest life.
Right. Thank you so much, Christopher, for sharing with that. Mark, do you have anything to add before I move on to the next question?
Oh, thank you. I do want to add something. So one of my heroes, and all of us become like our heroes. So you want to have great heroes, because I say you're leading edge, cutting edge, dull edge, or trailing edge. And I want everyone to be leading edge and peak perform to achieve their destiny. Well, one of my heroes is Elon Musk. Elon Musk is told by the governor of California, you cannot make any more cars. You got to shut down and lay off 90,000 people. Well, Musk, who knows how to ask questions better than anyone, said, well, wait a second, I'm going to look around here. Somebody needs this. So he calls up 3M company and said, you guys got to make respirators. You can't make enough for people getting COVID. So I have 3D printing. I got metal. I got manufacturing. I got 90,000 employees. I'll make them. We'll split 50-50. And but what he did is he kept making cars when he wasn't supposed to, and he made 90,000 cars, became the richest man at the moment in the world. But when he did it, what we're saying is you compound the asking of questions. He said, well, what can I do if I make the car even better? It'd be lighter. So he created a brand new battery as thin as your thumbnail, made with graphene, and he bought a company that's worth $100 million called Maxwell to do that. And he said, now I got a light battery. What could I do? He says, now I could change a whole airplane industry, and he's starting to make airplanes. Because you're in Gilbert and we're here in Scottsdale, when we have that, he says he's going to have it out in 2 years. So let's say 5 years. But 5 years from now, I want to go to your house. I type into my flying car to pick Chris and I up and take us to Nim's house. And we arrive, instead of a half hour, 45 minutes, we arrive in 1 or 2 minutes. Won't that be cool?
That would be the future. That's awesome.
Yeah, but what I'm saying is, let's go to a positive future, an abundant future, where everyone's working, where everyone's doing their highest and best. And all I'm saying is, Elon Musk is woken. He's all of his brain cells are working.
He's awakened.
He done woke up, but he's waking up a lot of people because they're saying, hey, wait a second. Everybody said you got to shut down, and he stayed open. If you use your mind instead of your behind, you can do wonders. And that's what I'm saying is, every one of us is here to be a history maker, a record breaker, and be God's greatest masterpiece.
Wow. Thank you so much. That's so powerful. I think we get in our way a lot.
Oh, yeah.
Before we start asking. we normal people, it's just like, including myself sometimes, I admit, I stop myself before I ask. Yeah. Then I just shut up. I just don't ask, right?
Yeah, that's right.
My 7-year-old daughter, we went to the bridal shower for a family member, and then they asked us to write some advice for the newlywed. And my daughter wrote in the piece of paper and put in the jar. And I asked her, what do you say? What do you write? And she said, I tell her to ask your husband to clean the house.
Oh, that is so cute.
So give the advice that you need to ask your husband to clean the house.
Yes.
Well, she asked me. I do all the dishes and do most of the cooking. Although
I don't even have to ask. He is so sweet. He just jumps in. He's like, no, you cooked, honey. I'm going to clean. He's the best.
My goodness.
Because I don't think there's such a thing as women's work.
Yes.
No. It's the house has to get done. She is doing a brilliant job using the most important asset she's got, I know, is her mind, her brain, her heart, her soul, and her sense of being. And so many people are helped so profoundly by my great wife. So I'm very, very thankful to be married to a superwoman.
Well, I I'm so grateful to talk to the Queen of Denmark today, and
The king, don't forget the king. So,
And
Nim,
I'm glad you see the humor in that.
yeah, no, it's so wonderful to be here. And I just don't want to miss that last thing you said, because it's so important how we stand in our own way.
Yeah.
And it was one of the important things that Mark and I identified as we interviewed everybody and started to decipher how that happens, and we determined that there are actually 7 roadblocks to asking that all of us have at one point in our lives. Sometimes we carry all of them, sometimes we carry just 1 or 2 of them. But I can honestly say, I think each of us has had each of these roadblocks at least once or twice in our lives. And we can go through the roadblocks if you want.
Yeah, sure.
Well, so the first one is just unworthiness. And I think that is a real biggie for so many people. And that is just that childhood conditioning that kind of is always telling us at some subtle level, like, you're not enough, you're not good enough. You're standing in the room and there's that person there that you've been wanting to meet forever, and it could make a difference in your business. And then you start to talk yourself out of it. Oh, they're busy. Okay. Oh, look, there's too many people around them. Oh, I might be interrupting them. And it's all of these unworthy feelings that you're not enough, as you're not as much as these other people talking to them. And it's a lie. It's a lie we tell ourselves. So we need to really work to get over these roadblocks. And each one makes a profound difference. There's a great story to each one. One of them is naivete. It's just like we just don't know what we don't know. So often, because we're naive, we are passing by our greatest opportunities, right? We're passing our maybe the greatest person that could be our best advocate, our best client, our best friend. We just don't look. And I tell the story about Imelda and the mango. I don't know if you read that story yet, but it's just, we had this wonderful Filipino woman who worked for us when my daughters were 16 months apart, and she'd come in and make all these wonderful dishes for us. And one day she showed up with a fruit and cut it on a plate and said, "Here, Crystal, try this." And I bit into it and I go, "Imelda, this is the most amazing fruit I've ever had. What is this?" And she goes, "It's a mango."
Yeah.
It's like, mango? How come I've never tried a mango? I've been all over Europe before. How did I miss the mangoes? I go, "Where did you get it?" Thinking she imported it from the Philippines. And she goes, "At the grocery store." And I'm like, "How did I miss the mangoes at the grocery store? They've been there the whole time." I'm a girl who's from Idaho, where we have a lot of potatoes and no mangoes, but it's the same thing. It's like, it made me think, what else am I missing? Because I'm naive. I'm living, like all of us, we live this subjective experience. And we only we kind of page for the things we know, and we miss all the other things. And that's part of the asking journey. That's the roadblock of naivete, keeps us from being more curious, from asking, I wonder what that is. I wonder who that person is. I wonder if that person has something interesting to say. I wonder who they are and where they've been. That's a major roadblock, because all those people, all those opportunities are just gems that you could be passing by. So that's a super important roadblock.
Right.
We'll just talk about one more, because there are 7 of them, but the book goes into great detail. But disconnection, and it's sort of what Mark was talking about earlier, this whole this sadness of that people are feeling, sort of this hopelessness of, they're really disconnecting from the dreams in their own heart. And and that's so sad when people do that, because they do become hopeless. And they look around them, and see like the craziness of the world and think everything's lost. And also the fact that we're so disconnected from one another. It's very tragic, because we're superficially connected by social media, but not really connected human to human, heart to heart. And I think, it's an invitation for all of us to become reconnected. We all need to source and serve each other. And I think if we all set out each day trying to live more of a life of service and connection, that everyone wins. Everyone wins. All of our dreams come true.
I feel like we just need to change the script in our mind.
Yeah. Exactly. That's very well put. We really do.
Yeah. Let me hitchhike on what she just said. And I didn't really finish the story about our friend who excommunicated himself from life. But what he did is he wrote his will, and his business partner, who they're making money again, called me while I was spinning yesterday, and we talked for an hour. And it was amazing to me, because he said, you taught him that if it didn't violate your spiritual belief, give all your body parts away to somebody that needs them when you die. So right now, this guy's 7 major body parts. Somebody's got his eyes, somebody's got his lungs, somebody's got his heart, somebody's got his liver. And they got, because we've been spokesperson for the American Red Cross. They got the 9 pints of blood, and every pint of blood saves 3 lives that quick from cancer, car accidents, whatever. And he said, this guy, Crystal remarked it to me, is that the guy had the best skin we've ever seen. So he also gave his skin away, which I didn't understand how you do that. But the guy said they took the skin off his back and his thighs, and now every burn victim, every cancer person going into the hospital is getting this guy's skin. So even in his death, he did something good. So I said to his partner, I said, look, I'm so sorry we lost our dear friend, but the fact of the matter is this guy's got good karma going into the other place, because he is really helping people. And you don't take this body with you, you take your soul with you. Your soul and spirit is that a little electric light inside you, and we can go deep on it. But you understand what I'm saying. I thought maybe I didn't finish that story, so thank you for letting me finish it, because there's always good. Every cloud, and because you live here in Arizona like us, we've had such a drought, and then the last 3 days we've been videotaping the rainstorm. We've had our rivers and lakes and estuaries and reserves are full again, and we've been praying for that. So it's just wonderful. So even dark clouds have a benefit of rain.
Say again, Mark. Say it one more time. Even dark clouds
have a benefit of rain, because every adversity, and Napoleon Hill said it, every adversity has a seed of equivalent or greater benefit. And the trouble is you start looking at the problem. What you were saying, and why we wrote the 7 roadblocks, because all of us got some of them all the time. Some of us got all of them all the time. And what we need to do is look at them in the mirror, we're calling it, and saying, hey, wait a second. Somebody else overcame this, so I can overcome it.
So after people read Ask, what else can they do with you? Do you have any book club? Do you have anything going on? Like, tell us more about it, because I don't think that is enough. This thing needs to go on.
I know, it's so true. I mean, it's funny, Nim, because so many people have come to us, they read the book and they're like, do you have a course? I hope you're doing a whole course on this. This needs a course. You know, in the beginning, they look at it and go, Ask, how could you write a whole book about Ask? And then they read it and they go, it needs a course. It needs a whole year-long course, you know. So we have been having a lot of fun. We're putting together this amazing, webinar. It's a free webinar for everyone. If you once you buy the book on Amazon or Barnes & Noble, wherever you're going to get the book, if you go to askthebookclub.com, just go there and we'll send you an invitation to the book club webinar. We want to keep the book discussion going. We want to expand people's view and perspective and understanding about how to ask and how to really have it make such a difference in your life and change things significantly.
We want everyone to become a master asker. And one of the stories we have by another Arizonian, Rita Davenport, she says, you've got to get your ask in gear.
Put it into action. Yeah.
Yep.
Well, thank you so much, Mark and Crystal, for being here and sharing your light with us. So many people that need this book right now, and I know this is going to keep going on and on. This is evergreen. You can do it when you already accomplished your goals. You can do it when you're in the bottom of your life right now, the dark in your soul right now. Your book had, wow, so much impact, so much. Thank you for being here for our show as well. Thank you so much from my heart.
Thank you, Nim.
Thank you. We enjoyed it so much. Have a great day.
Thank you.